Hi, Nicholas here. Welcome to the Secrets of Playing Music by Ear, the Akousunesis Method. Part B, a quick look. Okay, so on part A of the book is more theory orientated with some exercises. Part B is where we really get stuck into it, and it's where you really want to be. You gain the knowledge on part one, and we start to apply it here. So we're going to have a quick look. Now, part A is available now. Part B is not available yet. I'm still refining a few things, but the whole book is it's a living entity. Anything I learn new, I put into the book. And if you purchase part A or B, you'll have any revisions or updates will be free for you for a lifetime. So you just need to make the one purchase of the book, part A, and then part B. They're 25 Australian dollars each, and then that will be the guide, right? And then you give me your username in the email correspondence, and I'll keep your usernames aside, and I'll never spam you with any information. The only thing I'll ever, if you give me permission, the only thing I'll ever do is give you an update if there's any revision of the book, if you want that. So I'll keep a list of that. And if you give me your username, your YouTube username, I can identify you in the comments. So any questions you have regarding the video, the lesson video, I will answer them for you. So if you've paid for the book, I'll answer your questions. It's that simple, and you become my personal student. And I want to see you develop. So I'm really looking forward to having keen students who really want to learn the piano. Okay, so let's start. Part B. So what do we have? The first chapter. Okay, the process, chapter 7 of the book, the process of learning songs. So this is where the fun begins. Now, I'm not going to read all this word for word. It's up to you to purchase the book. But I can give you a quick look at, this is only a quick look anyway of the book. So we come down and we'll talk a bit about muscle memory, emotional aspects of your performance, and muscle memory, visualization. Okay, so we'll just come down to, then there's motivation, self-talk. There's a lot of stuff like that at the beginning, and believing in yourself, very important to believe in yourself. Don't doubt your ability to learn piano. It's really not that hard if you start to put time in it, and if you're using your brain as well, when it makes the job easier. You know, just a little bit. You don't need a huge amount of knowledge, and you build up that knowledge in time. Okay, and it really helps. Once you have a good understanding. So the Akousunesis method brings together your ear, like hearing the melody, hearing the intervals inside the chord, hearing the chords, and giving you understanding of what you're doing, and analysing and tearing apart songs. A lot of pop songs, they do all these tricks, and you'll get to pick it up of what they are. I think what I'll do is we'll analyse a few songs down the track. I've got my first video of one song, and we'll see how those videos go. And I also have the lesson videos, and they're all numbered 1, 2, 3. You start from 1, 2 for beginners, 1, 2, 3, and just keep on going. And I go through the sections of my book. We're still on part A at the moment. I'll make part B available. I'll just tidy it up and just make it available. And then, even though I'm still working on certain sections of the book, I can still release it. But any updates you'll get for nothing anyway. So if you can already get going with this, and this is the fun. Part B is really the fun bit of this method is part B. Part A is a lot of theory with practical exercises, but you really want to get to part B. That's the fun. Okay, so let's just read one secret. Rather than trying to remember hundreds of chords and scales, just to remember the default chords and modes in all the key signatures. So if you know all your major scales, okay, you automatically know the modes, right? Because you only ever have to remember the major scale. I'll give you an example. If you're playing in the key of C, I've got my piano back there, but if you're playing in the key of C, if you're playing from C to C, that's the Ionian mode. And it's visual, you can see it, there's no black notes. If you're playing from D to T, that's the Dorian, okay? Then we have the Phrygian. So if you're playing from E to E, the F to F is the Lydian. Sorry. And then from the Mixolydian from G to G. And then the very famous Aeolian from A to A, which is also regarded as a key, another key signature, a minor key. I personally don't like this approach. I mean, they've been doing it for years, but really, at the end of the day, it's just a mode of the Western major scale, an Aeolian mode, and there's two flavors of the key. And the last one, you got the Locrian from B to B. So we're all just in the key of C for now, right? But all that transposes to all the other 12 keys. We have 12 notes, 12 keys. Okay, I don't want this video to go on too long, so it's already 6 minutes. So I'm trying to keep these reasonably short, and there's a lot to cover here, so I don't want to go into too much detail. Improvising over chords in a key signature. So the first thing you do is you learn all the chords, the seventh chords in a key signature, and you go around the circle of fifths. You start with C and go to G, and then you go to D, and you keep on going, and then you go the other way around the circle of fifths: B flat, F, B flat, E flat, A flat. So A flat, E flat. Sorry. But you learn one at a time. Okay. So all right. So improvising over chords. So once you know all the chords, and there's really, you only have a major seventh chord. You've got a minor seventh chord. You've got a seventh chord. Now we'll go through these, in the theory section, of course. They're the three main chords, and you've got the diminished chord at the end. Okay, let's keep on going, and let's have a quick look here. Visualize the next chord before you move to it. Okay, so there's a lot of little secrets in this section of physically playing the piano. Always be aware of intervals sound of the melody, the interval sound of the melody, the highest note played on the keyboard at every chord change. This is going to be the biggest secret in unlocking some incredible memorization and playing ability. So knowing the intervals, the harmonic intervals of a melody, is the key. It's the key to this system, because intervals are everything in music. Intervals make up melodies. Melodic intervals, harmonic intervals make up the melody. So you can represent a melody with melodic intervals, which is one note going to the next, going to the next, going to the next in the distance. And we don't put any effort in doing that because that's so natural. But what we do is all the effort goes in harmonic intervals, knowing the melody in reference to a bass note. Right? Usually the root of a chord, but not always. Keep going. So I'm just going through some of these secrets. When improvising over a known melody, make sure you play the exact lead melody interval at the chord change. So where the chord changes, and you hit that melody. Now it might be at the beginning of a word. The chord might come first, then the word starts, or it could be in a syllable, of a word. So it could be, but you've got to line that up. So you'll be working off chord charts, a chord with the words. So the biggest trick is to make sure you line those up, right? So you know exactly where that change comes, because your brain will hear that change in reference to the chord change, right? So it's an important thing to do. Learning the song and improvising using Chordify. Okay, well, I talked a little bit about that. Chordify is a website that takes any YouTube song and turns it into chords, and then you press it live and you can start playing to it. With Chordify, you're going to get to know all your chords and you'll develop rhythm. Fantastic website, and I've been using that for years. And when I learn a new song, I Chordify it first, and I look at it, listen to it, and I see the chords even. And I listen to it, and then the melody becomes automatic. Just work it out. So then the next step is to get the song from ultimate guitar tabs and bring it into Songbook Pro. So you're going to learn all this. Comes all in. It's all in the book. It's on the book. So it's well worth the money, this book. And if you're really sincere about learning piano, this is going to take you places you won't believe. Okay, melody patterns over chords. All songs, that's all they really are. Melody patterns over chords, and they're defined in intervals. So we look at Green Sleeves. Here's an example. So the melody now is represented in intervals. Now, there's no timing information. You don't want timing information because that will come naturally. You don't want to concentrate on timing like you do with sheet music, right? Once you concentrate on the melody and knowing how to play the melody, the timing will be automatic. You'll automatically play the timing once your ear develops. So you don't even have to think about timing. It will just naturally come. It'll evolve. So we have a minor third. That represents, all these numbers under here represents the melody, right? And where it lines under A minor is a minor third, right? That and the C is a 3. We're going to get to what a skeleton of a song is down here, okay? But this is representing the melody, the entire melody, in terms of intervals. And you'll learn how to read these. And not only visually read them, hear them, right? And then with this system is you can transpose this to any key you like. The chords will change, okay, but the melody numbers stay exactly the same. Unlike sheet music, where if you transpose it, all the notes change. Sheet music isn't the best way to play music because the way it's written isn't the way we hear music. We hear music through relative pitch. And my system uses that approach to learn music. So once you know the intervals, you'll be able to transpose very easily. Even the chords can be represented as Roman numerals. So you can completely represent a song and play it in any key without even having to change it. But I usually on Songbook Pro, you can change a key very easily, and it'll change the chords anyway. Okay, let's keep on going. Keep chord notation simple. Make sure your ear does the work. You find a lot of jazz, like if you see a lot of jazz people, they'll have really complex chords, and they go, oh, "Look how good I am! Look at all these chords. They're so complex." You know, it's not a good approach. The best approach is the amount of complexity you have is up to off the 7th. That's fine. And what you want to do is reduce complexity. You don't want to make things harder for yourself. And what happens is you break up the melody, right? Which you learn to play the melody. And that could add in interesting intervals that aren't in the chord, like minor seconds. They could add in fourths and sixths that aren't in the basic chord structure, which make up a more complicated chord. So you want to reduce visual crutches and rely on your ear. Right? So the whole concept of this system is to bring down those visual crutches to a minimum. And eventually it makes it much easier just to remember a song. And to remember the chords, the melody's already there. Right? So all we work off are chord charts. But before we get to the point where you can just automatically hear the melody and play it, before we get to that, you have to go through a process. The process is writing down these numbers, right? And when you play, saying the numbers, right? And so there's a bit of a process, but eventually you get really good at it. And when you're learning songs, I look down, it's automatic. I know I'm pressing a 6, a second. I know all the intervals of any chord. You get good at this. Okay. So I'm actually looking at some of the secrets here, okay? Say every interval number out loud while you're learning the song, especially for beginners. That reinforces it in your brain. Let's look at Green Sleeves again here, traditional. Okay, so it just talks about how you can how you lay out the songs to learn them, okay? And eventually you don't even have to put the numbers down. Because it becomes much easier for you to recognise the intervals. But in the early stages, you're learning all the intervals, right? So, and it's a fun way to learn because you're actually utilising, you're playing songs. You're not just sitting there going, saying all the intervals. You're actually playing a song and you're learning while you're playing a song. I'll show you how that's done live also with a piano. And I'll do a few more videos like that. How are we going with time? 15 minutes. Okay, well, this could go up to half an hour, this video, so bear with me. Traditional, oh God, we've got a lot to here. This was supposed to be a quick view, a quick look. Anyway, so Green says secret. A song skeleton is going to help develop your ear. What's a song skeleton? Okay, that's when you, let's keep on going down. Here's a song skeleton. You can see A minor, 1. So these numbers, the numbers represent the melody, right? It's the first, the fifth, the first. So the rest of the melody's not there. Now, your ear automatically and your fingers will find that, the rest of that melody. If you play the melody note when the chord actually changes, and you'll say you're playing to an audience, the audience will get an idea of what the song is. And now you can start to improvise a lot more. You can start to add things in that isn't the melody, or you could play the melody exact, or you could improvise over that. And the song skeleton is the key, is one of the keys to doing that. And yes, as long as you hit that melody note when that chord changes, people will recognize it when you're playing. They'll recognize where it's going. So I used to play in a coffee shop on a grand piano, and I had people. I would improvise some songs and then give them hints of the melody as I'm playing, and they just look at you and go, oh, "I've heard that before. What's that?" And I keep on playing it. Then I play the melody more solid for them. And they go, "Oh yeah." People are very good at remembering songs, but I make it a bit difficult for them sometimes. Box chords. This is a great way to learn any song, even classical songs. Box chords. You create little boxes, right? And you have little melody patterns, and you have the chords with a melody pattern. Now, this melody pattern, a pattern you create, you start to recognize and build up this mental database in your head of different patterns, and it's like it automatically, you don't try, it just happens. And you recognize common patterns that are used in songs. And this helps you become a really good composer because you can start to use and utilize all these resources that build up in your head to compose music as well. So box chords are it's my invention, and I love them. They're great. So here's some examples. So, and this, I won't go into all the detail because there's also, you can add timing in as well if you want to show timing, but I don't show timing when you're practicing. It's only for more collaboration stuff. So if you're in an orchestra or something, you can, instead of reading sheet music, you could put it all into box chords with timing. So I do have a section on that, timed box chords, that we're up to there now. So this is a representation of timed box chords, and it gives you the actual beats. Okay. Preparing traditional notation. I'll just zip through this. So Claire de Luna, I love this one, a piece I play. I love it. But I don't play it like this. I make it my own each time I play it. And I've converted it. This actually shows you the process of converting a piece of classical music into box chords. It shows you what each one, how to do it. And then you end up with this. There's a little symbol. So you see that? The melody doesn't tell you 553. It doesn't tell you to go up, right? Or it doesn't tell you to go down or go up at all. You know that from your ear, and you'll pick that up very quickly. So you don't even need to be told that. So it's a quick hint. And then with this system, you're able to improvise over this as well. These are little boxed melody patterns over chords. I love Claire de Lune. It's a beautiful piece to play. Beautiful. Showing melodic direction. So you can be, if you're, say, passing on a piece and say someone wants to put it in a sequencer, for instance, you could give them traditional notation if you want. This is actually better to put into a sequencer because this more corresponds with how sequencers work too, because they've got beats. You can see the beats. So part B of the book, not available yet. It will be. I'll get things just cleaned up and give it to you. But you're going to love part B. But you have to go through part 1. You go through part A of the book, because that's the theory. If you get to modes and you're finding it a little tricky, because it is, you could leave that for now. You could have a look at it and then purchase part B. But I recommend you at least get up to the mode section of part A of the book. How to use online resources. So this is where we've got Ultimate Guitar Tags, Chordify.net, and I've got a process here of how you do that. Memorization skills are very, very important. How did you memorize songs? Because there's multiple associations you can make, not just relying on muscle memory. So if you're playing from a notation, you've got the crutch of the notes there, and the notes aren't a natural way that we hear music. So, and then you look, once you know it, you might memorize it. Oh, then you're looking down on your hands. So you've got that visual memory. And you also got here, your ear too. You're still using your ear. You're going, oh, that doesn't sound right. But you don't understand the piece of music. There's no understanding at all. You're just playing it a bit, from what's written. You want to hear and understand. That's the whole point of this system. Hearing with understanding, knowing what you're doing, then you can bring together a whole lot of memory associations to memorize songs faster, much faster, and be able to play and improvise and change key, those things. I'm going to keep on going with this video because I think it's going well. Breaking up reliance on the serial memory. That's a really good one. I'm not going to go through that. You've got to get the book and just read that. All right. Our brain is very serial, and you don't want to rely on that. That's when you learn with muscle memory. You're learning in a serial fashion, because that's why. And sometimes you play a song and get stuck. You're playing by reading, and then you don't know what to do because that serial memory is broken. It broke. You need a way to train yourself not to rely on it, and that's why the box chord method is absolutely brilliant to break up that reliance, because when you practice in box chords, you're memorizing little chunks of patterns, and you don't have to play. You can play them all over the place too. You can mix and match up things. You're concentrating on tiny little chunks at a time. It's a great way to learn music. I believe this method is the best method that's ever been created. Now, all right, I wrote it, so I'm going to be biased, but I mean, I've done a hell of a lot of research here, and this has taken 30 years, and it's all coming together into a system that I'm very proud to give to others now, and I'm really excited about this system, and you're really going to love it. Once you understand it and get into it, you're going to love this. Modal pattern definitions. Okay, so you really have to read the mode section before you get to this section. It's still under development. Let's see how much I've got here. I've got quite a bit, so I could probably just release this already. And so this explains, all this is my invention, all this system. And it's a way that you can use modes to develop melodies and create new melodies with a mode. And so you start with a known mode that you know, because once you learn all your keys, you know all your modes, right? You'll know them all, because if you know the major key or the Ionian, right, you'll know all the other modes. I'll show you as we go along, more lessons. So the idea is you have a mode that you know, and then alter the mode to get a new scale, and you create new scales. And you can use that scale with constraints to make songs. Okay, and so this system is very new, and I'm very excited to give this to the world. I can't wait to people to start to understand this. I hope I'm not the only one that will ever understand this. I hope not. But anyway, using modal pattern definition, I actually have given this to a few of my students. But I know there was at least one that really got it. So let's see how we go. I've made this as easy to understand as possible, but they really enjoyed it. Once they got it, they enjoyed this because they could, given them constraints to like what you can't do, it made them think of ways to get around those constraints. Okay, time melody. Okay, box chords, some more on box chords. Blah, blah, blah. Rising stack exercise, minor third. So we start to have some exercises now. Okay. And these are the constraints of the exercise. So it tells you what you can do. And then you can do, it'll tell you what you do, but you have to be constrained by the actual formula. Dominant blues. Okay, so we're going through Flight of the Bumblebee. So this is a good one. So I've broken that down here with finger positions. So you can see the chords. So it's all broken down in chords. So it's chord E. It's only one chord, but it's running down, and it does it with, these are your fingers here: right, middle, middle, index, right, middle, middle, index, right, and the numbers is the note, the actual note you're playing, and you've even got the timing. And it tells these arrows that go left and right tell you you're going down to the seventh, and so if you see a going down, it means you're always going down till you see an arrow going to the right. Then you're always going. Then you're going up, and then you're going down. Now you're not going to read this to play. That's not what this is designed for. Okay, you're not going to look at this and go, I'm going to play now, right? No, this is just so you can look at it and work out all your fingers, and then you'll be looking down at your hands to see what you're doing, and then you're memorizing that pattern, right? But it's also, because you've got the intervals there, you know what you're doing. You know you're going from a 1 7 to minus 7 6 minus 7 6 5 5 5 plus 5 5 plus 5 minus 1. You know you're doing that, but you're looking down. So this isn't a visual. This isn't a way to play music looking at it. Okay, it's a way to work out what you're doing and understand what you're doing. Because notation doesn't give you any understanding. It just says play that note here. It doesn't. You don't know what interval is. You're not particularly can relate the sound you're hearing. You hear a nice sound. It sounds nice. You know what you're doing, but you can't put it anywhere. You can't relate it to an interval. You can't, put it in your head, and have it in a nice compartment in your head, right? You need to give associations. It's all about memory associations, multiple associations. All right, let's keep on going. How are we going for time? Ooh, it's 30 minutes. All right, it's getting a little long, but I think my last one was 30 minutes. So if you're still with me here, congratulations. I hope you go and purchase this book, because I can't wait to. I've just put this. I'm so excited. I just put this out. This whole system, like the book is still being finalised, and it's been developed over the 5 years. Actually longer than 5 years, because I've been playing for 35 years. And so all these ideas were developing from back then, but I've just written them down. Right? So the book's not even like a year old when I started it, but everything was in my head. And I thought, what good is it in your head? You're going to die, and no one's ever going to know your system. So I've written a book. That's okay. Semitone slides. Oh, okay. So in jazz, they slide down, usually from a black note to a white note, make it jazzy sound. I particularly don't like that type of thing, but I know other people do. But anyway, you can analyze what they're doing, and you can write it down. Okay. Anyway, keep it going. Developing the right hand independence from the left hand. Needs more work, yeah. So this bit, if the things need a bit more work, I might just leave them out, or it depends. I'll either leave it out or put it in later. Song composition. So I'm just going to fly through this now, okay, because we're getting a bit long in the tooth. The song structure just talks about a way, to write songs. Creating a song skeleton, very important, that one. Okay, and I've got an example. I've just put an example of how to create one of my songs, of how to create a song using a skeleton. So we're in the, creating music now. Melody and lyrics talks about how you start to arrange things with an example. Now, you start to put lyrics in, tells you the process, and to start to match the lyric, the syllables with the interval. Blah, 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 we're going fast now. Developing melodic rhythm. Okay? You've got two types of rhythm. You've got the melody itself has a rhythm, flow, but that flow of that rhythm of the melody also works with the harmonic rhythm. Okay, but you want to concentrate on that melodic rhythm. That harmonic rhythm is there in your head and it's beating, and that you can build that up later. We're developing our ears to hear the melodies, and we don't want too much distraction of all these other things going on. That's why playing slowly will really develop that ear. And if you want to play fast, I mean, I see everyone playing fast all the time. Whenever you see a video of someone playing, it's how fast can you go? Oh, wow, they're really great. How slow can you go? And make it, how emotional can you go with your music? That is, there's nothing wrong with playing fast. I mean, it's very impressive and it looks great. And I love watching it, a lot of it. But how slow can you go? You know, it's very hard to put emotion in if you're going 1,000 miles an hour. You know, sometimes one note, just holding one note, sometimes not even having a note, you know, it can give you a lot of emotion. Okay, so anyway, let's keep going. Filler notes. I would talk about filler notes. Sometimes you've got a word and you're writing a song and you've got a word and you don't like that word. You put another word in. You might have an extra syllable, so you've got to put in a filler note for that. And it's usually like going up a semitone or tone up, or tone down usually, or it could go a little higher sometimes. The filler notes, or sometimes it's just playing the same note. All right, the filler notes. Harmonization. Okay, all right, I'm not going to go on about that right now. So, adding other intervals and completing it in a full spectrum. Common techniques used with song composition. Okay, this is coming on. This is very interesting, this actually. I'll give you an example of what this means. So I've developed a system that... So let's say you're writing a song in key, right? And you want to come out of key, right? So you see this number 1 here where it says 2M. 2 is the chord, the minor 7th chord within the key. And you'll know what 2, 3, you'll know all these Roman numerals, what they are and how to play them. You'll just know that. 2M means normally the second would be a minor chord. And then everything after that Roman numeral is the character of the chord. Right, so if it's different, if you've got something there, it means it's different than the natural mode, which would be a second would be a minor 7th chord. So you take that third, right, and you just make it a major, right. So that's a triad because there's no 7th there, right. So you're just taking that minor third, making it a major. Pop songs do that a lot. You can do it with the 2nd, 3rd, and the 6th, right? Because they're all minor chords, right? And you'll see the relation. Once you start to really develop, and you'll see the relationship when you do this. If you have a third and you bring it to a major, you've jumped into a new key, right? And it happens to be the a harmonic minor key. So. So you start to see and analyse things. So you've got a 7th and you make it a minor. It's normally a 7th. It's a diminished chord. And you just, instead of making it diminished, you just sharpen the 5th. So you're just turning it into a major chord, a minor chord. Or you could turn it into a major chord, which involves sharpening the 3rd and the 5th. Okay? So remember, the 7th chord is diminished, right? Turn a diminished chord into a major or a minor chord, right? Raise chromatic progression. Anyway, so there's a whole lot of these things. And these are the tricks that people use in pop songs. And not only just pop songs, in any music. But I know I play a lot of pop songs, so I notice them a lot in pop songs. And so I've written a list. And this will grow, this list in time. The more songs you play, the more tricks you see, and you write them down. But there's a lot here. There's heaps here. Even this little list. Because, even 4 has... Look at 4, lower chromatic progressions, flat 1, right? So in other words, 1 is a major chord. You just flatten it, right? So if you're on C, right, B flat. So for C will be B flat. Flat 1 minor 1 is normally a major chord, right? Let's think of C major. Flatten it would be B flat major, make it a minor, flatten the third, okay, to this D flat. All right, so dropping the bass either chromatically or within a key. Dropping the bass, I love dropping basses. It's fun. Yeah, so the bass just keeps on going down. Sometimes it will stay in key. Sometimes it'll come out of key, dropping the bass. A lot of fun. Lifting the bass. And we've got high third, high minus thirds, very common in songs. Anyway, so you've got a few tricks here of what they do. And it's going to help you in your own compositions. Song composition using modal pattern definitions. So this is my system. So blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go through that now. I'm just showing you. It needs to be filled in. Yeah, all right. I've got to put some more stuff in here. All right. Or do I leave that for you to do? Maybe I'll leave it as an exercise. Dorian. Aliens. Oh, so this is a formula up the top. Key of C happens to be in the key of C. Okay, so improvisation techniques are very close to. It's actually a copy of that other chapter because they're very close, and then I'm going to start changing it up for live improvisation. But improvising and composing is very similar. One's just live composing. Improvisation is live composing. So it's almost all the same things apply. You know, whatever you do with improvising, you can compose it, can't you? You can just record it and write it down. So you can do the same things. Song improvisation using modal pattern definitions. All right. So a lot of that's just dropping the bass. Yeah, it's just a copy. So I'll see what I'll do with those 2 chapters. Oh, bass walking, yeah, common jazz thing, bass walking. Blah, 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 blah. Singing, under development, but I've done a lot of this. So it's not more of the aspects of how to make the sound in your mouth. It's more of the approach you take to sing. The way you follow you sing while you're playing, and you follow the melody, and you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Also the way you can add harmonics in your voice. Let's have a look anyway quickly. Have a look what we got here. Let's look at a secret. Make sure you play the melody on the piano so you're confident of the pitch, and sing the pitch syllable combinations slowly. This is one of the important things. Sometimes you're singing and it's not sound, you can't hit it right. And so some people will speed up past that. You slow down and try to sing it. You're developing muscles in your throat area. You're developing muscles. It takes time. And what happens is your brain, right, will memorize the tone of what you're singing. It'll have it in its memory. And then your muscles will come up to it. So a note you think you can't sing, you know, you're not quite hitting right, you'll be able to, with practice, you'll be able to do it. So slowly at times, in order to develop a beautiful tone, listen to your voice. Harmonics, it talks about how every note you sing has harmonics going right up the spectrum and also down. And you can add as much high frequency or low frequency. It doesn't matter what note you're on, you're adding the harmonic above it. So you might want to bring your voice out of the bass and bring it a bit more into the higher register. And you can practice this so you can be transition smoothly when you go higher. And you slowly basically increase your range, and work out how you increase your range. You do it slowly when you're playing, okay? Listening. Oh, yeah, one of the most important things about singing is listening. A lot of people aren't even listening to themselves when they're singing. They're just playing, and, you know, their voice isn't. Sometimes they're not even hitting the melody correctly sometimes. A good singer listens. You've got to listen to what you're singing, using your voice. Okay. Now, I would recommend that you get a voice coach would be good. Get a good book on singing techniques of what to do with your mouth. These things are the things that I've taught myself, and I've written down how to do it. Okay, so, and I haven't falsetto. I haven't worked with falsetto, so That's why it's empty. Once I start using a bit more falsetto. But if you practice falsetto, it also brings up your lower range, right? So I don't like it. I mean, I'm a guy, so I mean, girls can do it better. So anyway, muscle memory and memorization, your vocal range, developing a quality tone. That's when you're adding your harmonics. Choosing a key signature. Oh yeah, that's a good one. You want to sometimes, a sound lends itself better. We're 40 minutes now. Oh my God, to a certain key. So it all works with the sound you're trying to make, the syllable of the word, so the note, the key you're in. So looking for a great pitch, syllable combination. Oh, this is great. Looking out for a great pitch. There's been so many, you're singing a song, right? You're singing a song. And I hear a lot of singers and they're missing out fantastic combinations and they're just flying past them. Sometimes a syllable of a word at that right pitch with your voice, it's a very personal thing this, with your voice sounds absolutely great. And what do some singers do? They fly past it. What you do is you accentuate, you change your whole timing of the song and you accentuate what sounds good. If it sounds a really beautiful combination, let people hear it. Slow it down a bit and bring it out. And also you're practicing it and getting better at doing that, right? At making it even sound better. So you look out. Sometimes a song has only one of these. Some songs don't have any. You'll know when you hear it. It'll pop out in your head. You're singing, you're practicing. Oh, that's it. That's what you're looking for, that great. And you'll see it in great songs. You'll listen to some songs and you wonder why your heart drops at times. It's just that one combination, pitch, syllable combination. That's really good, that bit. So, and a few songs to practice. Okay, that's the end. Okay, so these are box chords. So what do we have here? Just Clair de Lune. So when I play Clair de Lune, that's all I need. I just look at that. Right? You can memorize Clair de Lune if you really want, but I like that because I always change it all the time. So I just have that's a guide for me. You do end up, your muscle memory kicks in, and you eventually just play it the same way each time. If that's what you want, you can do that. But I try to break it up. Lake in the Moonlight. So this is a Gladiator I've got here with some of my own alterations I've put in here. So because I loved the theme of Gladiator here on the instrumental bit, but it was just not enough of it. So actually I added, oh wait a sec, I've improved this. I can update this, I think. I've added even more to this piece. I'll just check this. I might be able to update it. Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. So these are just some songs. You can do this to any song, right? Song you like, you chordify it. Turn it into chords, work out what the melody is. Now you can turn this into a skeleton by just keeping the melody note under the chord and leaving the rest. That's it. Okay. So there's a lot of practical things to do here, and it tells you how to do them practically. All right, so part B is a lot of fun, okay? And especially when you start learning songs. Okay, this is really long now, 43 minutes. Okay, look, thank you if you're still here, you're a legend, and thank you for hanging by. My book, 25 Australian dollars. Part A and then Part B will be available soon. So start with Part A, go through it. I'll clean Part B up and I'll have that ready. And any update is free. Okay, so if you buy Part A or B, any revision, any update, you'll have. And I'll be able to email you when the new revision is available. And or I just send it to you automatically. Okay, all right. Thank you for watching and have fun.